Hi everyone, Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Kirin J. Callinan record, If I Could Sing. This is the latest full-length LP from one of my favorite songwriters, guitarists, producers, singers from way down under, Australia. It has been a minute, not just since we've heard an album from Kirin, but an album of originals, because in 2019 was when he came out with Return to Center, which was a covers album that also marked a kind of a transition period for him. A bit of a detour where he took some time to celebrate songs and artists that influenced him and made him who he is today. I feel like this project was very much needed for him, especially after such a turbulent album cycle in 2017. That would be bravado. Now, this album did lead to Kirin's most high commercial peaks in his career so far, with the music video for the song Big Enough reaching viral insanity across the internet. But also during this time, we had the Aria's public indecency incident that led to legal troubles for Kirin shortly after, and also served as a point of inspiration for some great non-album singles too, like Dumb Enough and You Are Going to Miss Me. But as chaotic as all of that was, nothing really could have prepared me for what I would hear on If I Could Sing. Not even the weird range of singles leading up to the record, because this album is kind of hard to make heads or tails of, and that's saying something for an artist as eccentric as Kirin. Because even though his albums are usually packed with a lot of oddity, he is typically pretty consistent with his songwriting ideas, his themes, his aesthetics, and maybe there is a through line on this one that I'm just not seeing, but yeah, I'm just not seeing it. Maybe it's a lack of perceived quality on the songwriting side that's throwing me off a bit. I mean, I did do an interview with him back in 2020, and at that time, he said he was working on new material and kind of revamping his whole songwriting process, maybe going for something that was more based off of jams and improvisations, in-the-moment decisions, which I could kind of see on this record given that the structures and progressions aren't nearly as methodical or as cleanly structured as Kirin's past work. And I won't deny, this has led to a lot of moments on the record that are wild, that are unpredictable, kind of noisy, off the wall, but simultaneously it's led to a lack of songs that draw me back to the album itself. Not only is there a lack of cohesion among the tracks and the track list, but even among the ideas thrown onto the songs themselves, like the opening track, Bread of Love, which is sort of like this ominous arena rock opera piece backed up with clanging percussion and someone rapping, which I can't say I think works. In fact, I think it's a little repetitive too. And that's not the only song I feel that way about by far. There's also Crazier Idea, whose redundant lead vocals and tension-building chord changes make me feel like I'm trapped in a loop of a certain particular part of a song, like the pre-chorus or a transitional moment, and we never quite break out of it. This track is also proof that just because something is odd or grating doesn't necessarily mean it's challenging or thoughtful. Then there's Chop Chop, which in my opinion is even more lacking in direction. I mean, aesthetically I do appreciate the song's dubby industrial funk blend, but the annoying vocal performance and lack of payoff on the progression make this one kind of a headache to listen to. What's even more disappointing is the quality of the album actually drops off even further in the second half, like with Untitled 8, which is a totally instrumental cut that really comes out of nowhere. I can only describe it as a vaporwave hell. Really just 2000s computer MIDI muzak topped with ear-piercing homegrown noise rock guitars. It doesn't really do a whole lot outside of strike up a vibe for the time that it lasts, and it's a downright awful setup for the next track on the record, which is a dramatic spotlit Bowie-esque ballad whose theatrics are kind of unearned, especially given that the finish isn't that grand, nor is the lead up to this song all that interesting. In Absolutes is the longest cut on this record at 6 minutes. It was the first single to the album as well, and I think made it kind of clear that this was going to be a different record for Kirin, given how ill-defined and loose the progression is, and also some of the philosophical mantras that were informing the track too. To say everything is good is to speak in absolutes, which is a challenge I have no problem answering in this review, especially as the performance gets kind of dramatic and lost in the weeds in the last leg. To my ears, there were only a handful of highlights throughout this thing, mostly on the front end. There's Young Drunk Driver, which has become one of my favorite Kirin singles ever. So many things about this track are just classic Kirin all the way, from the killer expressive vocal performance, Young Drunk Driver, do you believe fallen angels. The soaring rock hook, the stuttering, punchy guitars and drums. It's bizarre mutant pop rock all the way. And that's before even getting into the lyrics of the song. It is titled Young Drunk Driver. The track Eternally Hateful brings similar vibes as well, but with more of an 80s new wave synth pop twist, with more danceable beats and synth bass. And later into the record, It's the Truth is the real last glimmer of hope in the track list. It's some very airy, chilling pop whose lyrics are equal parts catchy and unnerving. But yeah, outside of that, I didn't really care for any songs on this record, which is unfortunate for a couple of reasons. Obviously, I was hoping it was going to blow me away, especially given I've loved Kirin stuff in the past. I just had high hopes for this thing. But in addition to that, for a while, I felt like Kirin is one of the true modern geniuses of pops and rocks left field, and I'm just not hearing that panning out on this album. Feeling a strong 5 to a light 6 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head, it's another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Kirin J. Callinan, forever.